I always knew that coming up for one day was my thing, and that was probably more of a concentration thing rather than anything else. Maybe some of the other guys were a little bit more professional than I was, but when it came around, when we heard about the Olympics being part of the agenda was 1994, and that was an announcement that we were going to be in 2000. And at that point, I'd already been racing full time for 10 years, and as you know, as an elite athlete, that's a long time in endurance sport to be out there. So when they said to me in 6 years' time there's going to be Olympic Games, it really did make me think about my career and where I was going, because I'd always thought at that stage I'd be sort of going to Hawaii and doing some longer races, but the allure of the Olympic Games in Sydney was just too strong for me, and to be able to go to the first ever World Olympic Games, first ever World Championships, first official Commonwealth Games, they're sort of things that stuck in my mind as things I'd really like to do. But I remember thinking at the time, wow, that's going to be 16 years into this career, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it that far, let alone be able to go. So, as history would tell you, I managed to hang on and go there, but I really did have to change a lot of my training and planning and sort of calm down a little bit rather than overtrain too early, because I just wanted the longevity of being able to race that long in this type of sport. So 6 years out, I knew I had to change things if I wanted to hang around and be able to try and race the Olympic Games. And I remember going into the World Champs in '98 in Lausanne, and I'd had some pretty good races that year. And I was keen to have a good World Championships because I hadn't really podiumed in the World Champs since I won in 1991, and had a pretty good, I had a terrible swim. I had a really strong bike, and I only just managed to get onto the front group on the very, very last lap with about 2 kilometres to go. Started off in the run, went backwards. Everyone took off and did the Robbo thing, took off and exploded out of the cannon. And, I started catching people after about 3 kilometres. And it actually was some guy who caught up and started running beside me with someone I didn't really like. And I thought, I don't want them to beat me. So it just all of a sudden kicked in, and I started running really well and started passing a lot of people. And I think I caught Hamish Carter with about 600 metres to go, and managed to sneak past him to get a bronze medal. So pretty happy with that. And then we went off to Montreal the next year, and dead flat course around the F1 circuit. Not really my style of race. But I had a good day there, and I got bronze behind Simon Lessing and Dimitri Garg there. So had 2 pretty good world championships, and I thought, okay, close to 2000, I'm in the right spot. 2000 year, I won the Formula One series. Won 3 of those races back to back. Won the national championships in a sprint finish with Chris McCormack at Mooloolaba. We were head to head there, and then obviously we were off down to Sydney to try and qualify for the Olympic Games. And I guess in my heart, I was hoping that Brad, Greg, and myself were the ones who qualified, because it would have been a lovely way for us to sort of finish that relationship together. We've been racing for so long, head to head all over the world, and unfortunately, Greg and Brad weren't able to quite last that long, and they had some issues along the way, which prevented them from probably having a decent crack at that. And I was like the oldest bloke to hang around and get to that Olympic game, so I was pretty fortunate and very, very happy about that experience. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like, obviously, there was a lot of controversy around the Olympic team and selections, and fortunately, I was one of the people who jagged a spot, so I was pretty happy about that. But I'd also done a lot of good races over the last 3 years around those type of big events to prove that I was worthy. I think those World Championships really counted, and certainly winning the National Championships that year probably counted in my favour. The race was amazing, and remember the most amazing experience of being behind the Opera House when they were calling out the names of the competitors, and we were somewhere in the 20s, and obviously you got called out in countries rather than just individuals. And they announced Pete Robbo first, and then myself, and then Craig Walton. And I just remember walking with Craig around past the Opera House, and the whole city just lit up. Like, there was people screaming you could hear it pretty much around the whole course. And you're looking over Mrs. Macquarie's chair, which was normally quite green, and you couldn't see a piece of green. There was that many people over there watching the event. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. And walking to the start line was like, probably didn't realise how enormous it was until I was running through there, walking through the start line. And the biggest vivid memory I have of the Olympic Games was at the 7 kilometre mark in the run, and we just passed this whole bunch of crowd, like 6 deep, the whole way around the course. And I remember covering my ears because the noise was so loud that my ears were hurting. And there's never been a triathlon in my life where my ears hurt. There's plenty of other things that hurt during a triathlon, but it was the only race I've ever done in my life where it was that much noise that my ears were hurting. So that was quite unusual. The Olympics was a bittersweet moment. I think it sort of makes or breaks people, and people either go away very, very happy about the experience that they had, or they go away dirty about the result that they had. I didn't have the best result. I got sixth place. It wasn't brilliant, but I really enjoyed the whole part of it. The being involved in the team, the village, the experience around it. Like, and I raced the best that I could on the day. Like, I crossed the finish line, I was absolutely dead, and I knew there was nothing more left to give and to take. And I think whenever you do a race like that, no matter where you finish, if you've given it everything you've got, there's not much you can do about it. And six for me on that day was the best that I could do, and I walked away fairly happy. Loved the experience, really enjoyed my time, and have really fond memories.